If you're planning your first trip to Disney World, this video is for you. 4 parks, 32 hotels, 2 water parks, rides, restaurants. There's so much stuff going on. Where do you start? Right here, this video. This is where you start. The first thing to know about Disney World is how massive it is. The entire Disney World grounds are twice the size of Manhattan. So don't think about this trip like going to a theme park, because it's more like planning to see and explore an entire city. Navigating the 4 parks spread across 43 square miles takes some research. So take your time and get to know the lay of the land. So let's dig into it. Magic Kingdom sits at the north of Disney World. You can think of it as being all the way at the top. Magic Kingdom is the flagship park with Cinderella's Castle and 6 major lands all around the castle. And the theme park is the most attended with the world, with over 17 million visitors in 2022. And you have a ton of things to check out in Magic Kingdom, but I want to start with just giving you the overview of all of Disney World. So we'll be back to Magic Kingdom here soon. All right, so Magic Kingdom and the Magic Kingdom resorts are at the top, and then you head south down World Drive to what I call the Epcot area. Here you have Epcot Center and Hollywood Studios, along with the boardwalk in the Epcot area resorts. Now these are 2 of the more important parks for your older kids and your adults. It's got the faster rides, it's got the nicer restaurants, and the World Showcase has all sorts of shops and different things. But we'll dive into that in a few minutes. Next, we head east and you'll get to our 4th and final park, which is Animal Kingdom. This one gets forgotten about sometimes, but it's really an amazing park. Near Animal Kingdom, you have Blizzard Beach, which is the water park. And if you head west, you'll get to our 2nd water park, which is Typhoon Lagoon, which is right near the last attraction we'll be covering, which is Disney Springs. With over 60 restaurants, shops, shows, a movie theater, Disney Springs has a ton of things that are just open to the public. You don't have to buy a ticket. So now that you've got an idea of where all the stuff is, we gotta hit on how to get around. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort, you're gonna have a bus stop at your hotel. Buses constantly running to all the different theme parks, the water parks, and Disney Springs. But you also have the monorail, you've got the Skyliner, and you've got the boats. And knowing what goes where is gonna help you out a lot. But I'll probably do a whole other video on that. Just know that transportation at Disney World is definitely a thing you want to know to maximize how much you do on your trip. All right, so I told you we'd get back to it. Let's get back to it. Let's start at the top with the Magic Kingdom. There are lots of ways to get to the Magic Kingdom, but when you do get there, you'll scan your tickets or your Magic Band and you'll head under the train station to Main Street, USA. Now, this is the iconic turn where you get your first glimpse of the castle as you walk down Main Street, and these are some of the best gift shops in all the parks right there on Main Street, USA, on your way down to the castle. Now, Cinderella's Castle sits at the center of the park with the 5 different lands around it. When you get to the castle and look right, you're gonna have Tomorrowland, home of Space Mountain, one of the all-time classics of all of Disney World, and the brand new Tron Light Cycle run. So Tomorrowland's all your futuristic, but somehow classic stuff. It's really cool. And then if you keep going counterclockwise up, or if you go directly through the castle, you get to Fantasyland. Now, Fantasyland has Peter Pan, It's a Small World, and my favorite, 7 Dwarfs Mine Train. So Fantasyland has a little bit more of like your younger kid stuff, but also don't miss Mine Train. If you continue on your counterclockwise lap around the park, you hit Liberty Square with the classic Haunted Mansion. And then you get to Adventureland with Pirates of the Caribbean and the Jungle Cruise. And you keep going up all the way to the corner and you'll find Frontierland with one of my favorites, Big Thunder Mountain. And so now you've crossed all of Magic Kingdom. You're all the way up in the top corner. It's time to head out and check out Epcot. So as you head outside of Magic Kingdom, you have a lot of transportation options. One of them is the monorail. You can hop on the monorail and go to the Transportation Ticket Center, and then hop on the monorail from there and go all the way down to Epcot. So Magic Kingdom and Epcot are connected by the monorail, and riding the monorail is one of my favorite things to do. In a land of amazing rides and restaurants, you may wonder why I like riding the monorail so much. And I don't know, I just like it.
There's a monorail. Monorail.
I think it may have to do with the fact that they could have just taken people by bus or by train, but instead they made something cooler. And that's the point, because they could. It's way more magical and makes me think if they could build this monorail connecting these 2 amazing parks, what could I do? what could I do in my life if they could do this? So that's why I love the monorail. So the monorail takes you to the front of Epcot Center, which is the one with the giant golf ball. Disney fans can get mad at me in the comments, but let's call it what it is. It's a giant golf ball, and it's awesome. So Epcot Center is divided into 2 areas. Technically it's 4, but we won't worry about that. There's the front area where you've got classic rides and attractions like Spaceship Earth, Soarin, and the new but instant classic Guardians of the Galaxy. Got some really fun stuff at the front of the park. Then at the back of the park, you have one of the most loved spaces in all of Disney World. You've got the World Showcase. The World Showcase has 11 pavilions representing different countries with different shops and restaurants and attractions. And this has to be the easiest area to walk around because there's just so much fun stuff to explore. And there are different festivals throughout the year with different food stands, and walking around and just getting a bite from every country and a drink from every place could be my favorite activity in all of the parks. So in the back of the World Showcase is a park entrance that the Disney pros know is the best entrance to the park. And here's why. Epcot and Hollywood Studios are very close together. And if you head out the France exit, you can think of it like the back door of Epcot. You can catch a boat right over to Hollywood Studios. You also have the Skyliner that takes you to multiple resorts and Hollywood Studios, and you can do it all with a really cool view. You also have the Boardwalk, which has got some more restaurants and shops. And you've got all the Epcot area resorts. And so if you stay in the Epcot area resorts, you can sneak into Epcot's back door and you can go to the front of Hollywood Studios, all within walking distance. And that brings us to Hollywood Studios. So Hollywood Studios has a lot going on, but I'm gonna sum it up with the big ones. Mickey's Runaway Railway at the center of the action as soon as you walk in, the Tower of Terror over to the right, and then if you keep working your way through, you'll get to Toy Story Land, which is one of the kids' favorites, and then you hit the awe-inspiring Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars is really something else. Even if you don't like Star Wars, it's just something about being there that transports you to a completely different place. And quick tip, if you go to Star Wars, I would skip the Millennium Falcon ride if you don't like motion rides. And the other tip is when you hit Hollywood Studios, I actually like to go to the left and go to Star Wars first because I feel like everybody else goes to the right. But I'll do a whole other video on Hollywood Studios specific stuff. Don't forget, this is your first Disney World video. It's not gonna be your last. So just buckle up and we'll dive into the details on some other ones. All right, so we head out of Hollywood Studios, past the Frozen sing-along, and back down Hollywood Boulevard and out of Hollywood Studios and catch the bus to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom is probably the least visited park, but that could be because it's the hardest one to get to. You have to take a bus and it's all the way at the edge of Disney World, but that doesn't mean it's one you want to miss. Animal Kingdom is a totally different vibe than any of the other parks, and likely that's probably because it's a hybrid between a theme park and a zoo. It's not really one or the other. And it's the only place in Disney World that really makes me feel like I'm in a completely different place. When you're walking around Asia or Africa or looking up at Mount Everest, you totally forget you are actually in Central Florida. And so it does a really fantastic job of making me feel like I'm somewhere else. I'd recommend getting there early and doing the safari and doing the Gorilla Falls Trail and trying to ride Expedition Everest and making sure you get those things done early. If you were gonna skip anything, I would actually skip the Avatar rides. Walking through Pandora is really cool and the rides are amazing, but because they are the main attractions of Animal Kingdom, they tend to have really long wait times that I don't think are worth it for what the rides are. So that's my hot take. If you want to @ me in the comments, whatever. I'm gonna breeze over the 2 water parks because we don't really go to them that much. I don't think we have as much of a need to go to water parks living where we live. But if you like water parks and you want to do one, the Disney water parks are amazing. And that's Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon. They're really cool. I have been there before. Like I said, we just don't go enough for me to be an expert on them. So on to Disney Springs. Disney Springs is open to the public and has a ton of stuff. This is a great place to check out if you don't have a park ticket for a day. So if you buy a 5-day ticket, but you're there for 7 and you have an extra day, Disney Springs is a great place to go. The next thing to talk about is hotels. At most places, hotels are an afterthought. Like you go to Universal Studios, you just stay at some hotel. But when when you go to Disney World, your experience is gonna depend a lot on the hotel you stay at because they're all so different. They all have such different experiences and different themes, and they all have much different transportation options, which is gonna dictate how quickly you get places and really does shape a lot of your experience. And so you can stay at a Pop Century Resort, you can stay at the Wilderness Campground, you could stay at the luxury monorail resorts. There's a lot of different resorts you can stay at, but I will say where you stay is probably more important than you think it is. And we will do a whole other video on how to pick a hotel for your next trip to Disney World. Now on to that point. A great first trip to Disney World is one that's well planned for. So I recommend one of two things. Either take your time, do the research, and learn as much of this stuff as you can to plan a great first trip, or find one of those weird Disney adults like us that maybe you're friends with. And if you see them going to Disney World all the time, see if they'll bring you because it's a lot easier to just go with someone else who just knows all the things. Seriously though, if it's your first trip, you want to make sure you make the most of it, and planning this stuff should be fun. So have fun with it. It's like an adventure to plan and get excited about. And planning your Disney trip will be my next video. So if it's over here somewhere, just click it. Don't watch another one, just skip on to planning your Disney trip because it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's do it together.